I need to get my glasses changed.
All right, stand by. I'm just having a problem with the video.
Okay. Carol, are there folks signed up you want to pass me? We're just waiting for LTV.
Yep, stand by.
Ready for us.
All right, we came in. Hey, guys. Sure. Yes.
All right, good evening, Town Board. Thank you for your patience. You're being recorded. We're live. We're streaming on 22. You may begin.
Thank you, LTV. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the July 18th, 2024 meeting of the East Hampton Town Board. Carol, if you'd please read the roll call.
Present. Present.
Present.
Present.
Present. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So tonight we have 6 public hearings, and that will be followed by public portion and then resolutions. The hearings, the first one is for the potential CPF acquisition of 15 Crandall Street in Springs. Public hearing number 2 is to solicit comments on the draft renewable energy roadmap plan. Public hearing 3 is the first-time home buyer assistance program. The applicant is Lee Grimes. The following public hearing is for the same program. The applicant is Melissa Anderson. We then have the 5th public hearing is the release of highway right-of-way on Bluff Road, followed by a hearing to accept the scenic easement urban renewal for 221 3 Mile Harbor Road in East Hampton. But before we start, we are going to ask Hugh King to come up and entertain us.
I went to an exhibit at the library about the Culper Spy-Ring. This spy-ring worked during the American Revolution, was ordered by George Washington. Their identities were secret for many years, and the great Morton Pennypacker found out the identity of the last one, and he wrote 2 books about it. So that exhibit will be there until Friday and Saturday at the Long Island Room. The next one is in September, and it's going to be on whaling. And then the last one on December 5th will be Home Sweet Home. okay? Also, on July 21st, at LTV, there's going to be a program on the history of sea shanties, and David Cataletto will be performing. He's the person who you'll be paying after I leave. And then on July 25th, at the Amagansett Library, I will be giving the Carlton Kelsey Lecture. We'll be talking about Carlton's Amagansett with many images from his book. And then finally, this weekend, the Domini Shop will be open on Saturday between 11 and 4, and also the Thomas Moran House will be open this weekend. So there's plenty of history to go around, and then I'm going to go around and get out, okay?
Thank you, Hugh. Okay, Carol, if you want to read the first hearing notice, please.
Public hearings will be held live and in person by the town board and will be available electronically by video and teleconferencing and will be televised on local TV, Channel 22, and available for live stream on the LTV website. The public shall be permitted to appear in person but may also provide comments on the matter being heard by calling 351-888-6331. Any person or party wishing to be heard with respect to the foregoing may do so in person, by agent, by attorney, or by teleconference to the live meeting, or by written comment addressed to the East Hampton Town Clerk, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton. Comments may also be submitted to the town clerk by email to cbrennan@ehamptonny.gov. All comments must be received by the town clerk by the date and time of the public hearings. Please check the meeting agenda posted on the town's website for any changes and for updated information. Take notice that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing in the town board meeting room, East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, pursuant to Section 247 of the General Municipal Law and Section 64E8 of the Town Law of the State of New York on July 18th at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard, to consider the following: the town's acquisition for the preservation of open space with community preservation funds of a property located at 15 Crandall Street in Springs, reputedly owned by Virginia Campbell and Patricia Cusia, and consisting of approximately 0.5 acres of land at a cost to the town of East Hampton not to exceed $500,000, plus reasonable survey, title, prorated tax, and recording charges. Said property being described on the Suffolk County tax map as 358.92, an amendment to the 2024 CPF Management and Stewardship Plan to include said property.
Thank you, Carol. Scott, you want to brief us on a potential acquisition?
Sure, I'd be glad to. So the property we're talking about is on this arrow right here. It's outlined in blue. It's 15 Crandall. This is a half an acre lot in Springs, contiguous to other protected lands. As you can see, it's touching on 3 sides. The lot was part of our Springs outreach when we did that outreach back in 2015. One of the criteria of that outreach is to give special weight to parcels that are contiguous or near other protected parcels, since preservation allows the town to expand upon its existing holdings and increase our inventory of open space. As you can see on the aerial, this is an expansion of Crandall Woodlands, Crandall Woodland Block. This parcel is primarily made up of a deciduous woodland habitat, primarily oak trees with some low bush blueberry understory. The Planning Department and the CPF Advisory Board gave this a very strong recommendation for preservation. And for these reasons, I would ask the board to pass a resolution to acquire.
Great, thank you. So I don't have anyone signed up for this public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to address the board? Matthew, is there anyone on the line that would like to address the board on this public hearing?
We have 0 callers at this time.
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carol, the second notice, please.
Notice is hereby given that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing at Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on Thursday, July 18th, at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard, to consider comments of all persons regarding a draft renewable energy roadmap plan, the plan, a copy of which is available for review in the town clerk's office or online. The public hearing will be held live and
Sorry. Is that it? Okay, great. So we have Lena Tabori signed up.
Big surprise. Many thanks to all of you for bringing it this
Lena,
far.
just before you start, I want to acknowledge and just give a little brief intro for what we're talking about today. So the town adopted a climate action roadmap early on in 2013. A committee was formed. 2014 it was adopted, and it was subsequently adopted into the comprehensive plan. That plan laid out the initial steps for addressing the climate crisis and for working for a goal of renewable energy. It was more aspirational than concrete recommendations, but many of the town's programs and changes to renewable energy in many of our systems and buildings came from those aspirations. About 2 years ago, the Energy and Sustainability Committee, at that time Lena was the chair, recommended that we need now to have another chapter, another roadmap from today on to be able to reach our renewable energy goals by 2030, give the town guidance on sustainability within that roadmap, and also recognize the climate emergency declaration that's included in the roadmap. The town then went out and hired consultants and members of the Energy Sustainability Committee, such as Lena and Paul Muniz and Craig Van Sickle, dedicated hours and hours and weeks of their time to shepherd this roadmap to where it is today. This is the first of 2 public hearings in order to have the roadmap subsequently adopted into the comprehensive plan. So with that, I would like to introduce Lena.
The wonderful thing about all this is it covers so much of the territory that I was going to cover. So Kate, of course, has recapped it brilliantly. The East Hampton was one of the 2 municipalities, the first 2 municipalities in New York State, really, to set goals, clean energy goals. And that was an extraordinary moment, really, in 2014. And at the same time, they created the advisory committee that Kate referred to, and that's basically us. And I mean, and I think we've gotten an extraordinary amount done, and the accomplishments are listed in the town as a document, and they're quite spectacular, actually. I'm fairly proud of this board on a number of levels. The goals that we set in 2014 that were to be met in 2020, we didn't quite make, but implementing is harder. Goal setting is easier than implementation, and I think that was really what drove us in a way to trying to realize that we needed a roadmap from outside the community that took a look at what the needs of the community were from a much more professional place. The committee is, after all, a group of volunteers that don't have the kind of expertise really that came in through the roadmap expertise. And the purpose was to try to make the 2030 goals that we'd established in 2014 more realistic and more possible. So, without really, or with ignoring pretty much the rest of my speech here, I would just say that, the recommendation that we made in June 21 was responded to by the town almost instantaneously, and an RFP went out by that fall. The proposal from GDS Associates, which was the ultimate deciding group of experts, came in also almost immediately, and the town accepted them again almost immediately. So from April 22, when that was accepted, until last fall, pretty much the committee, members of the committee, as Kate said, and Natural Resources, I have to give a huge amount of credit to Kim Shaw and her group, because they were part of the meetings that we had almost monthly with GDS to try to get to a final draft of what their recommendations were that seemed
implementable by the town. And that is the draft that you have in front of you now. And of course, the objective is to adopt it into the comprehensive plan so that it has more effect on all the decisions that are made throughout the town. The document is posted as a document within the town, so anybody can look that up. I just want to say that I'm aware that climate change mitigation is not everyone's priority, nor is it the easiest thing to achieve. I have a terrible fear that with the growing consequences of climate change, we're going to spend more of our available capital adapting to the problems, overcoming the consequences rather than mitigating to prevent future consequences. But this particular roadmap addresses that very specifically, and I think although you will find that change is not convenient, we are a coastal community and we're extremely susceptible to the problems that climate change is going to bring us. So on behalf of our children, our creatures, and our trees, which I've been hearing a great deal about recently, not to mention our pollinators that I haven't seen. Has anybody seen butterflies yet this year? Yes. You have. I've seen none.
We get them out here.
Oh, of course, because you have the garden.
Yeah.
You have exactly what attracts them, which is brilliant. Anyway, I'm hoping that we all have the tenacity and the courage to continue moving in the right direction. I thank the board for their time.
Thank you, Lena. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Craig? Welcome, Craig.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you guys. Thanks for having this opportunity. Yes, so I'm Craig Van Sickle. I live in Springs. I'm also a member of the Energy and Sustainability Committee. And the roadmap is a big milestone. I've been on the Energy and Sustainability Committee since about 2015, and pretty much all that time between when the inception of the committee until the roadmap was completed, we've really sort of been guessing at what we can do to actually take tangible steps to meet our renewable energy goals, and that's sort of a proxy for our carbon reduction goals. So, it was a great credit to the board that you guys took the step to issue the RFP for this roadmap. And, a wise and informed energy policy can greatly help our efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to help us moving towards a more resilient community responding to the impacts of climate change as well. And sort of to Lena's point, to help us invest and save money and invest in the local community, which is ultimately what I hope this all leads to. It identified, the roadmap identifies very tangible steps, and in very simple terms, it showed that the sources and opportunities for reducing emissions are broadly 50% electricity in buildings, broadly 30% heating and heating mostly and hot water in buildings, and then 20% in transportation. There are one of the biggest recommendations, I think that probably the single biggest thing that we can do in one fell swoop is to adopt community choice aggregation. The town, to your credit again, has created enabling legislation to do that, and there's a current snag in with the Public Service Commission, which is trying to be worked out, and I'm hopeful that someday that'll happen. But I think that in the meantime, there's great compelling reasons, as I know that I'm also on the Emergency Preparedness Committee. And the thing that's interesting about the more local resources, and that's really boils down to solar energy and in some cases battery storage that enables the intermittency of solar to be captured and utilized when the demand happens. That holds so much promise for this community, both to manage the causes of climate change and to manage the impacts, because if there is a big grid failure, and there is a huge report by the President's National Infrastructure Advisory Committee in 2018 that said that not just the East End, but the United States was dramatically unprepared for a catastrophic grid failure that lasted for a long period of time. They said 30 to 45 days. They said communities should be prepared to manage a 30 to 45 day grid failure, which is enormous, right? That in that report, they recommended basically what this report is also saying, which is to develop shelter-in-place capabilities that have a lot to do with local point-of-use energy systems. Montauk is the poster child that has very low tree level. It is 45 miles from the nearest power source, and it would greatly benefit by having a very robust local energy initiative there. And so their suggestions were to try to incentivize the building out of these local resources on disturbed, like rooftops, as much as possible. Their hope was that the community benefits package that comes from the South Fork Wind Farm would be employed to that end, and to incentivize EVs as well, and the transition to heat pumps, along with an all-electric building code. So all of the things that we have very much in front of us, that I know you guys are very much considering and talking about, were contained in this roadmap. And they have multiple co-benefits to not just reducing emissions, but to building local resilience. So I hope it just gets adopted into the comprehensive plan. I'm here to be of any help that we can be, obviously. I just would be remiss to not mention that they also offered not just the roadmap, but they went beyond the scope of the RFP, so it was clear to everybody that this was the case. But they did offer a budgeted tool that would have, it's basically a spreadsheet that the town could designate whoever they wished to have their hands on the controls of it. And basically all it does is it says if you invest X dollars in X project, solar incentives, EV incentives, whatever you may choose, that you'll get X result by Y time. And it's a very robust tool. I should point out that Optiny, which was with GDS, has been chosen by the Department of Energy, DOE, to be the ones to oversee the local energy system billion-dollar program that has been issued for California, Nevada, and Arizona. So the fifth biggest economy in the world. These guys are big, heavy-duty hitters. They stand behind their work. They're willing to be in touch with us in the future. So just wanted to mention that we have sometimes it's not only important to have a plan, but to have an implementation plan. Otherwise, this could become a very heavy digital paperweight. And so hopefully we can continue to progress. And thanks very much again for your help in all these great initiatives.
Is there anyone else in the room that would like to address the board? Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
We have no callers on the line.
Matthew, would you be able to, in the room here, be able to show us what you're broadcasting so that we can also just see the clock?
Okay, let me work on that.
Thank you. Okay,
Motion to close?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, third public hearing notice, please.
Notice is hereby given the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing in Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on July 18th, 2024, at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard, to consider comments of all persons regarding the grant of down payment assistance under the town's first-time homebuyer down payment assistance pilot program as follows. The applicant is Lee Grimes. The down payment assistance amount requested is $30,000. The purchase price is $1,050,000. The property is at 35 Madison Hill Drive in Montauk, and the Suffolk County tax map is 315.119.
Thank you, Carol. Now, I don't see anyone signed up for this public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to address the board? Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
We have no callers on the line.
Motion to close? Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the fourth notice, please, Carol.
Notice is hereby given that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing at Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, on July 18th at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard, to consider comments of all persons regarding the grant of down payment assistance under the town's first-time homebuyer down payment assistance pilot program as follows. The applicant is Melissa Anderson. It's a down payment assistant amount requested is $30,000. The purchase price is $261,576 at 54 Tub Oarsman Road in East Hampton, Suffolk County tax map 144.1134.
Thank you, Carol. Does anyone like to address the board? Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
We have no one on the line at this time.
Motion to close? Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're up to the fifth meeting notice.
Please take notice that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing, Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on Thursday, July 18th at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard, to consider the release of a portion of a highway right-of-way in Amagansett known as Bluff Road.
Okay, so the first one we have is Richard Whalen. Welcome, Rick.
Okay, good evening, Madam Supervisor, members of the board. Richard Whalen from Whalen Fowler PLLC. I represent, well, sort of three owners of three lots at the very eastern end of Bluff Road on the north side. I represent Elizabeth Hamilton, who expresses her regrets. She wanted to be here tonight but couldn't make it. And Mary Curls and her family. Dennis Curls and her son is here and will speak tonight. Technically, I don't represent the owner of the middle lot, which is Charles Santacola and his sister Lori McGarva, but they've been cooperating with us, so I'm going to speak on their behalf too. I'm referring to three lots at the eastern end of Bluff Road, north side, not the very last lot, which is the so-called Brancasio lot, but the three lots just west of there, all of which have houses on them. The Santacola house property has two homes. I'm going to refer to them by the property owners' names because the street addresses vary between Bluff Road and Montauk Highway, depending on where the driveway is. So from east to west, there is a lot owned by Elizabeth Hamilton, then a lot with two houses on it owned by, as I said, Charles Santacola and his sister Lori. And the next lot is, there's a house there that is lived in by Mary Curls. Technically, it's owned now by her son, Dennis Curls, and her daughter, Gail Mitchell, but Mary has a life estate. So why are we here? We're asking for the town to deed to us 33 feet, 2 rods of the right-of-way at the very eastern end of Bluff Road. Bluff Road is a 99-foot wide road. That's 6 rods. What's the basis of the request? Well, we think that we actually have rights to the road. We think that the current road, we think that the right-of-way of Bluff Road at its eastern end is, shall I say it, misplaced. A few facts before I just get started on this, just so you know. We have a letter of support. This was delivered last year by the Highway Superintendent, Steve Lynch. I'm just going to read a portion of it. Steve said this was written in May of last year, and it should be in your materials. I have no objection to your proposal, which would convey the northern 33 feet of the Bluff Road right-of-way to your clients. This would leave Bluff Road at 66 feet wide. The land to be transferred is already lawn or yard currently maintained by our clients. Now, I will add that the Santacola property not only is lawn or yard, half of a 2-story house is in the road right-of-way. And also, Steve said you may give a copy of this letter to the town board. So the Why do we think that? So a couple of other facts here, just so people have a perspective of what we're talking about. The 3 lots in question have a total frontage on Bluff Road of about 160 feet. The length of Bluff Road from India Wells Plain Highway past Atlantic Avenue to the Montauk Highway is around 8,000 feet. So we're talking 160 feet of frontage on an 8,000-foot road, just so everyone has that in mind. The lots in question, each of these lots is roughly about 1/10 of an acre. The land that would be transferred by the town, combined, the 3 lots is around 5,500 square feet. Each of them gets less than 2,000 square feet. Just for comparison purposes, the town gave a deed to the lot at the eastern end of the road, the Brancasio lot, in 2008, again, without consideration, and that lot, by my estimate, was about 11,000 square feet, or about twice the lot area that we're looking for. So what's the basis of our claim? There's really 4 elements to this. First of all, when you get to, and again, we're talking the very eastern end of Bluff Road, just kind of before it reconnects to the Montauk Highway. The road pavement does not correspond to the right-of-way. It's a 99-foot wide right-of-way, which of course is unusually wide, and the road pavement, when you get over there, is hugging the south side of the road. That's the first sign that there's something off here. The road's not matching where the pavement is. That's unusual. You don't always have the road pavement at the center of the right-of-way, but it's usually more or less in the middle. Not the case here. The second thing is, in recent times, there have been 2 houses located within the right-of-way. I've never, ever seen a survey with a house in a road right-of-way, except here on the Brancasio lot, which was originally spec'd, and on the Santa Cola lot. Within 3 lots, 2 houses that were at least half into the road right-of-way. People don't build houses on road rights-of-way. They may build a shed occasionally, but they don't build a house because they expect that where they're building a house, they own that land. So those 2 elements are kind of circumstantial, but the last 2 elements, in fact, are not. West of Mary Curl's lot, about 130 feet west, there was a subdivision in 1926. Now, you won't go down there, you won't know there was a subdivision. It doesn't have a subdivision road, but they divided lots between Montauk Highway and Bluff Road. There's had about 350 feet of frontage on Bluff Road. That 1926 subdivision map was prepared by a surveyor named Wallace Halsey. Wallace Halsey was a very active surveyor in East Hampton in the first half of the 20th century. So we can presume that he knew what he was doing. If you extrapolate the south boundary of that subdivision map, again, it's a filed map with the county clerk, extrapolate or project that out, it actually runs roughly where the deed that the town gave to Brancasio in 2008 runs. In other words, well to the south of where the current tax map shows the southern boundary of the Hamilton, Santa Cola, and Curls lots. So something changed in the interim, because if that entire eastern end of Bluff Road from Atlantic Avenue to the Montauk Highway is supposed to be perfectly straight, and his line pushed the road for much further to the south than where it purportedly is today. And then the fourth element is, in 1951, Mary Curls got the deed to her lot from her late father's estate. I should point out that Mary Curls was born on that house in 1923. And in case anyone's counting, it's 2024. She still lives there. So the little bit of history there, this was part of Little Italy. And I should point out that the expert in Little Italy is behind me. Robert Cody is in the room tonight. And this is where I got some of this information from, most of this information. So the lot that's now owned by Santa Cola and Margarva, that was, I believe, and Bobby can back me up, that was probably the first acquisition by one of the Italian immigrants to Little Italy in the area. That was purchased by Giuseppe or Joseph Della Pola in 1901. That's the property that now has 2 houses. His brother, who was Mary's father, Amato or Little Mike Della Pola, bought their property in 1908. Anyway, coming forward to the present time, or at least to 1951, when Mary acquired the property in 1951, her deed has dimensions. It didn't have compass courses, but it has dimensions of the property's sides. And according to her deed in 1951, her property is supposed to run 165 feet from the south side of Montauk Highway to, anybody know what Bluff Road was called back then? You guys take history lessons.
Something.
Dogs Hole Highway.
Yes.
You can always rename it. If you
What was
want.
it again?
Dog's
Say-
Hole.
Dogs Hole Highway.
Logs Hole?
There was a depression on Bluff Road known as Dogs Hole. So it's actually in the deed, Dogs Hole Highway. They didn't call it Bluff Road. So her deed ran
Answer next time, right?
Huh?
Gotta give you a chance to answer next time.
Oh, you look like you were about to. Okay, David was about to answer. I cut him off. Sorry about that. So her deed ran 165 feet. If you look at the current tax map, remember Bluff Road is going at an angle, her side lot lines are only 99 feet and 117 feet. Her deed says she owns 165 feet south of the Montauk Highway. So how did we arrive at 33 feet? I talked with Steve Lynch, and highway rights of way are typically measured in rods. A rod is 16 and a half feet. So a 99-foot wide road is extremely wide. The requirement in New York State for a town road, like if you're creating one today in a subdivision, is 50 feet. 66 feet is ample. If we ask for 33 feet, which is what we're asking for, the town is still left with a road right-of-way of 66 feet, which is more than sufficient, particularly since the pavement's on the south side of the right-of-way. So that's how we came to that. The last thing I just want to address is how it benefits the lots in question. All of these lots are very tiny. Going from east to west, Elizabeth Hamilton's lot, her septic system straddles the property line. Her whole yard south of her house is purportedly within the town road right away. Now, a lot of it will still be within the right of way because we're only asking for 33 feet, but at least her septic will be on her own property. If she ever wants to upgrade it someday, she'll have room to do that. She could put in a new septic. On the Santa Cola property, 1/2 of a 2-story house with deck is in the town road right away, something that has to be addressed someday. This would put the entire house within their property. And finally, Mary Curl's property, which again is now owned by Dennis and his sister, but Mary, has a life estate. It'll give them the ability, they can put a driveway, and right now her only access is from the Montauk Highway. She could put in a driveway from the south, which she could do anyway, but they could put a parking area that will actually be on their own land. So those are the benefits to landowners. There's no detriment realistically to the town. It puts this land, it's not a lot of land, but it puts it back on the tax rolls. The one thing I want to say that we're offering in exchange, the quid pro quo, is we would give the town in exchange a release of any further claims, because theoretically, we might actually have a claim to more of the road right of way. So if the town were to give the individuals in question a 33-foot wide, 30-foot deep deed, we would give a release as to any further claims that they might have to the right of way in Bluff Road. So.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay. Thank you.
Dennis Curls. Welcome, Dennis.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, board. Thank you. I have a letter here from my mother. She would like me to read. Okay. I, Mary Curls, have lived on the Delapola family homestead located 630 Montauk Highway since I was born in 1923, over 100 years ago. I have deeded my homestead to my son, Dennis Curls of Amagansett, and my daughter, Gail Mitchell of Sag Harbor, retaining lifetime rights for myself. I would also like for my children to have the legal ownership rights to build a driveway accessing a safer bluff road to the south side of our property. Our driveway currently connects to Montauk Highway and has become very dangerous lately, as we all know. The new driveway would increase safety, add to the value of our property. At 100 years old, she's still worried about us kids.
It never stops, Dennis.
This would entail transferring the rights of 33 feet of Bluff Road. We would have room to build a parking area and land coming from the bluff. What the goal would be is to build a circular parking area. As we know, even backing out on Bluff Road in the summer, with traffic coming off the highway heading west at 40 and 50 miles an hour, even that, you can have your neck stuck out. Okay, virtually every property on the north side of Bluff Road has a driveway from the bluff. I do not. My father, Amato Delapola, bought the property in 1908 from Joseph Cousins. The property is 50 feet wide, 165 feet deep between Montauk Highway and Bluff Road. We have mowed and maintained all the land from the garage south to the Bluff Road for over 116 years. The town has never done any work. We would tickle to death to have it to take care of it. It surely does help, especially parking sometimes. For 116 years, the town has never done any work to this land. We requested that the town deed us 33 feet of the land to confirm our ownership so we can build a safe driveway for parking on the Bluff Road. That was from my mother. So going back, the land that we're talking about, the 3 lots, each lot would be less than half the size of this room. But what does it do? Less than half the size of this room. Mrs. Hamilton, she can get up in the morning, walk out her back door, maybe sit on the patio and have a coffee on her property, which she can't do today. Charles and April, who live next door, when they go to bed at night, half their bed is in Amagansett and the other half is in East Hampton. They would be able to go to bed and wake up on their property in Amagansett. That's the property that the line actually goes right through the house. And as my mother has stated here, we would like to put a new driveway in and get off the bluff, get off the Montauk Highway, and just reverse it. So really, that's basically what we have, where we're going with this. Thank you for your time, and appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Dennis. Is there anyone else in the room that would like to address the board? David? Welcome, David.
Welcome. Thank you. David Buddha from the Springs. I'm here not to necessarily oppose the request and all of the heartfelt hopes of the landowners, but rather to urge caution and suggest that you follow a different path here. First of all, one very minor thing that really transcends this particular hearing. If one were interested in government in this town and were to pick up the agenda and look at the agenda and read that this hearing number 5 concerns the release of a highway right-of-way, if one didn't know anything else about this, one would have no clue whether this was something of interest to them. And yes, you do have on your website access to the actual public notice, which gives full information, but I'm suggesting that it might be in the future possible to have a brief, better statement of what the purpose of the hearing is, so that someone who looks at the agenda first might know whether or not they should look more for more information. Now, getting back to the substance of the request. As with several other recent situations where a property owner seeks to obtain a personal benefit from the town, such as by a zone change, the proper and necessary action for you to take now is to arrange for the other side of the coin to be fully explored. You need to task your planning department and perhaps engage L.K. McLean's surveyor department, who you've used on other large survey project issues, I think, up in the Norfolk Woodlands area, and perhaps even on the Amagansett playground area. They have very competent surveyors. They need to do a deep dive into all of the relevant deeds, surveys, and highway documents. You have heard one side of the story, as you would ordinarily expect from an extremely well-versed advocate. But as you have seen from recent zone change requests that you have considered, when you ask the town experts to opine, they do not necessarily agree, and they certainly provide you with an awful lot of information to give you additional food for thought. There is in Riverhead the Real Property Tax Service Agency, Real Property RPTSA, whose job for many decades has been to scrutinize all recorded deeds and their insured property descriptions and maintain one comprehensive and coherent integrated tax map. It's now available online. It's a fabulous tool that everyone should know about. I will hand up to all of you a copy of the images that you can get from the county tax map.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. Thank you.
And nothing that Mr. Whalen has said really disagrees with any of this. These are the facts on the ground. This represents the established ownership lines of the property. So I have to take serious issue when I found in the record for this proceeding a statement by counsel that, in fact, the northern part of the Bluff Road right-of-way land does not seem to belong to the town. That simply is not the case. Highways don't just appear out of the blue, particularly when you see a highway that has appeared on town atlas maps going back to at least 1903. When you see a road-of-way a right-of-way road width of 99 feet, as Mr. Whalen knows well, and as he mentioned, that means it was created with a standard of 6 rods, a rod being 16.5 feet, an ancient surveyor's measurement. These are the standards that were used when highways were created under the governing state statutes. Most likely, whenever a highway is duly established, when it's dedicated and accepted, and when the town highway superintendent of the time lays it out, monuments are laid out. So surveyors look for the monuments. The tax map people use all of the information, all of the monuments, all of the surveyors, all of the available surveys, even the ancient pre-planning board subdivision to the west, and they harmonize them and they create one coherent map. So the fact is, at this point in time, the town owns the subject land. Excuse me. The town should not be asked to give away town land for no compensation, even if it is surplus. I ask you, please, do not follow the terrible example that was set by the town board in 2007, 2008, but gave away the candy store to Mr. Brancaccio, who repaid the favor by building a maxed out McMansion out of character with the neighborhood, and totally reaped a financial benefit with no gain to the town whatsoever. Instead, I ask you, engage your professionals to be the town's advocates and to do more research, and then ultimately, if there is any reason to agree that this is a part of a dedicated town highway that you can afford to vacate, follow the example instead of what happened on Water's Edge, when a well-heeled property owner that owned property on either sides of a cul-de-sac of the northern end of Water's Edge, and this goes back probably about a dozen years, he wanted the cul-de-sac. It didn't matter whether or not the neighborhood kids used it to play street hockey. He wanted that to be able to join his 2 properties, and because in his opinion it was a cul-de-sac going nowhere, and the town highway department didn't really need it. Well, the highway department, as in this instance, was very agreeable and said, yeah, we don't need it. But with a little bit of advocacy brought by me, and even though they had extremely competent counsel, perhaps the second best land use attorney in the town, second to Rick, ultimately it was determined that yes, the town could afford to vacate that dedicated and accepted portion and improved portion of the highway, but that it would require it to be appraised and compensation would have to be paid. In that instance, I'm not suggesting the number has any relevance to this matter, but in that instance, it was about $500,000 that had to be paid to the town. I never got a thank you note, but I'm glad to see that the town was compensated for giving up its land rights. So, I don't think you have all the facts. I think that we have a situation where a very large state highway type size right-of-way was created under the governing statutes, 99 feet, same as a state highway. And perhaps the town hasn't needed it, but you have to bear in mind, there are properties going to the west. Bancaccio's snafu, in my opinion, or worse, I could say, has now caused his neighbors to the west to come forward to you, and apparently they've been at this for about a dozen years or more, to say, me too. Well, I have news for you. As soon as if you were to do the same thing, the neighbors to the west will say, me too. And at least as far as the next roadway intersection, because the Bluff Road pavement is towards the southern side of the right-of-way, going all the way further to the west. So, that's my point of view, that you need to hear the other side. I think that I think one of you, perhaps it was Councilmember Piedmont Calder Piedmont suggested that we have a public hearing rather than accept the suggestion that this could be done by way of a resolution without a hearing. So having a hearing is good, but you're not ready to act on this. I think you need to hear the town's perspective. You need to hear a complete picture of how this happened. Yes, there are abnormalities. There are abnormalities to this day. People are building and maintaining gates and shrubbery within the town right-of-way, and the town seems to say, so what? Well, I think that the town needs to safeguard its property rights and maintain it, and certainly, if it's appropriate to give up some of your property rights, receive appropriate compensation. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Is there anyone else here that would like to address the board? Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
We have no callers on the line.
Motion to close?
Yes, go ahead, Dave. Rick.
Again, Richard Whalen, attorney for the applicants or the adjoining property owners here. So just want to make some response to what David Buda just said. First of all, the Suffolk County tax map is a representation of what the Real Property Tax Service Agency thinks are the facts on the ground. It is not legally binding. If you look at the very western end of the top photocopy he has here, you begin to see the end of that subdivision map I referred to. That's a filed subdivision map. It does not match what's on the Suffolk County tax map. That subdivision map went further into Bluff Road, and again, as I said, if you extended the southern line from that out, it would roughly match where the southern line is of the Maracasio property, which is the large lot on the right-hand side of that. Secondly, Mary Curls, as I said, she has a deed in 1951. That's a recorded deed. That deed says she owns 165 feet from Montauk Highway to Bluff Road. That's not reflected on here. So this is not necessarily accurate. As you know, I've submitted a lot of documentation to the file. You don't have, this is a pretty substantial amount of material that was submitted to the board. The issue of compensation is, none of these people are in a position to be paying any substantial amount of money for the land in question. And as I said, we don't think we need to. This isn't based on adverse possession. This is based on a belief and evidence that the road is in the wrong place. That was why in 2000, it is unusual, you might say, for the town to have given Brancasio in 2008 a deed to that basically effectively tripled what their surveyed land was. The basis of that was that they provided evidence, including that subdivision map I referred to, that the road right-of-way was not in the right place. The last thing I want to say about that, how is the road right-of-way done today? Because I've asked this question of Dave Saskas, who's done, obviously, survey work for us. It follows road monuments. So apparently there are road monuments out there today that would correspond to what the tax map is showing. Now, they're presumably changed when you come to the Brancasio lot, but there are road monuments today. Road monuments can be changed. Many years ago, I had an interview with George Sid Miller Sr., who was the highway superintendent in the 1930s, and he told me about a section of Swamp Road. They were trying to make Swamp Road cut out to Route 114. It wasn't Route 114 in those days. And the surveys weren't matching up. They moved the road monument, and then they got the survey back out there and did it. So it's not exactly unknown. So wherever the road monuments are today, or where that this is based on, we think they're wrong. So our argument is that we don't want to litigate the thing, obviously. You probably don't want to litigate it. You get no benefit from this land, none whatsoever. It should be back on the tax rolls. It should be used by the people who are actually using it, have a house there, mowing the yard, and so forth. And I think you should, in this case, follow the example of Brassic. One last thing, because David referred to this. As you move further west, if you could look, I had submitted material showing where the pavement is with respect to the road right-of-way. As you go west on Bluff Road, the pavement begins to come north. So people west of here, they're on larger lots. The road pavement is closer to their property line. Eventually, it does center within the Bluff Road right-of-way. I don't think there's a serious concern that you're going to get everyone from here. You're not going to get everyone from here to Atlantic Avenue to come in and make a claim to the road. So they won't have a valid argument. All right?
Thank you. Thank you.
I repeat my motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Carol, we're up to the last public hearing, please.
Please take notice that pursuant to Section 247 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York and the provisions of the East Hampton Town Code, the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing in the Town Hall Courtroom, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on July 18th, at 6 PM or soon thereafter, as this matter may be heard concerning the following grant of scenic and conservation easement to the town of East Hampton. The grantor is Unifam LLC, to scenic and conservation easement dated June 7th at 221 3 Mile Harbor Road, East Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map 300, 144, 3, 10.001, and the reviewing agency is the town board.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone here that would like, David?
I wish I could find my notes, but I'll just work from memory. I have to question what's going on here, because this is a situation where you have a typical merged lots to create a conforming, buildable, old filed map development. What everyone knows should happen is that before they obtain a building permit, they submit a request for a road work assignment. It goes to the town consulting engineer. He reviews it, he studies the area, he determines where within that filed map is appropriate to do the road work, and he issues an assignment, which also may, in the appropriate circumstance, indicate that there's a need for a road widening easement or a scenic easement, which is the case here. That is all ordinarily done by the consulting engineer and the planning board. And it should be done before the house is built. Well, if you go to this property, you'll see the house there. Somebody messed up. And it's not the first time. So I'm bringing this to your attention because procedures need to be improved. We had a situation in the Springs where 2 times at either end of the Springs Historic District, properties were approved to be built without anyone in the building department recognizing that they were within the Springs Historic District and required ARB review. Well, when the second time it happened, the building department acted proactively and wound up taking every single property in the Springs Historic District and marked the property cards, which are maintained and governed, with that fact right at the top of the card, saying this property needs to be reviewed, it's in the historic district, and we need to send it to the ARB when we get an application. Unfortunately, and I see a lot of properties because of my work and my interests, a large number of the urban renewal maps that are going to be developed one day are not properly marked on the building records, the property cards, to indicate that they are in fact found on an old filed map and therefore might require road work, road widening easement, and sometimes, in this instance, a scenic easement. And all of those things need to be done before the building permit is issued. And we have to be better about our procedures to avoid the screw-ups, like here, where the house is there, and now someone says, oh, by the way, there's a need for a scenic easement, which it looks like has not been violated, because most likely the surveyor was aware of it, because he should be aware of it, and it looks like the scenic easement is intact, and when this document is recorded, it'll become a legal fact. However, the building record also indicates that they haven't gotten and haven't applied for their roadwork assignment, which ordinarily has to be done, either has to be done or more typically has to be bonded for and secured so that the town will be made whole and be comfortable that the road work to be assigned will get done because there will be a bond, usually a cash bond, could be a surety bond, available to do it when it's appropriate. That hasn't happened in this instance either. However, the town attorney's office is familiar with the situation, and they have indicated by letter to the building department that they can continue to build that and pending their application for a road work assignment. I just wish that these kind of easily avoidable mistakes and oversights could be avoided in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Matthew, is there anyone on the line that would like to address the board during public comment?
We have no callers at this time.
Okay, so we're going to move
Motion to
on.
close?
Second.
Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to move on now to public portion. Anyone here to speak? You didn't need to sit down, David.
Finally had time today to catch up with my reading of letters to the editor and the Star, and there was a letter a week or two back from Frank Riena commenting on the board's practice of stoically listening to questions and rarely, if ever, responding or commenting or answering questions during public comment, which is unfortunate because I agree with everything Frank said in his letter, that this is an opportunity for you to inform the public about matters and to respond. It doesn't have to be a debate, it doesn't have to be lengthy, but there should be, when appropriate, some kind of response. The other day, during public comment, I brought to your attention my concerns about the language of the statute that has now become law, facilitating the possibility of the town alienating town parkland, that triangle at the intersection of Springs Fireplace Road and Springs and 3 Mile Harbor Road, if and when the county bites and agrees to use that for a creation of a road, let's call it a roundabout. Hopefully it won't be an oblong, this time it'll be a roundabout. I don't really have any objection, and in fact, I probably would support that project. What I do have a problem with is that the plain and simple language of the statute and the doctrine behind the parkland alienation law is that you need to create new parkland as substitution for the land that is now no longer going to be available. And the statute itself says that the land that could be substituted has to be something that has not yet been conveyed to the town for use as a park or for open space. So it's prospective, it's in the future. If and when you convey this property and it's no longer park, the triangle, you need to take a different piece of property. And the law that was adopted says 16 Swamp Road is the one. Someone on your team determined that was the best place, but it's already town parkland, it's already designated open space, it's already bought and paid for, and it was bought and paid for with CPF funds. You'll recall the situation in Montauk where the town was going to buy land with CPF funds on East Lake Drive, but then decided it wanted to possibly have a park alienation swap with the county to create a septic system for Montauk in the Hither Woods area. The town took back the opportunity to use CPF funds and used its own private funds to buy the land that was going to be used to swap, because that's what you have to do. It has to be town funds. You can't use CPF funds, which are funds that were created for specific purposes such as creation of open space, and then say, oh, we have satisfied the obligations to alienate this land. I don't care what the statute, the new law says. It seems on its face to be wrong. I brought this up at the Spring Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, and Council Member Kelder Piedmont said that you guys had discussed this, you're aware of it, you've received opinions, that it's quite kosher to do what you're planning to do. So I would like to see if perhaps someone would like to just enlighten the people as to how it could be so obviously, how I could be so dramatically wrong in reading the state law and saying something, you have to use a different property if you're ever going to accomplish this goal. Anyone have any response?
You can call Rob tomorrow and he can get back to you on that.
It's not quite satisfactory, but if that's all you got, that's all you got. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Matt, is there anyone on the line that would like to make a public comment?
The phone lines are quiet.
Okay. So we're going to go now to resolutions, and you can take the phone number down, please.
Start with Resolution 2024-938. This is for approval of claims on warrant number 7B. These are in the amount of $4,485,891.04 and in the amount of $39,039.57. These were ordered by the town board and supervisors hereby directed to pay same.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
939, this is to accept bid for EH 24023 for food service and kitchenware items The bids of Milvia Foods of New York, Inc. and Samtel were the lowest bids received. Milvia Foods is hereby accepted for items 2, 3, 5, 23, 57, 59, 61, and 62. And Samtel and Son is hereby accepted for items 1, 4, 6 through 15, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 24 through 38, 40 through 56, 60, 63 through 100.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
940, this is to authorize agreement for the perpetual software license for ArcGIS desktop standard. This is in the amount of $6,394.60.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
941 is to amend Resolution 652. Be it resolved that the sum of $3,000 should be paid to the seller, William Holmes, upon presentment of appropriate resources and papers to transfer title to the town.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 942 is to repurchase Fort Hill Cemetery plot from David Holmes. Be it resolved that the town is authorized to repurchase the plot for a sum of $1,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. On delay of offer resolution 2024-943. This is a notice of a public, to notice a public hearing to consider a local law amending chapter 182 to remove a property from the town nature preserve. Whereas the town of East Hampton acquired a parcel of property on the west side of the intersection of Springs Fireplace Road at its intersection with 3 Mile Harbor Road from the East Hampton Lions Club incorporated in 1971. Whereas the town of East Hampton acquired the adjoining northern parcel in the westerly side of Springs Fireplace Road in 1972 for Edwin and Cheryl and the East Hampton Lions Club parcel. And the Cheryl parcel were later combined and designated by Suffolk County tax map number, consisting of approximately 2 acres of road located between and the intersection of 3 Mile Harbor Road and Springs Fireplace Road. And whereas the town of East Hampton, after adopting Chapter 182 of the Nature Preserves of the Town Code, declaring numerous town-owned properties nature preserve parcels, this tax map was listed on Table 2, which set forth a designation of nature preserve parcels within the East Hampton School District as the Sherrill Triangle, 3 Mile Harbor Road, and Springs Fireplace Road. And whereas the growth of the town since the acquisition of the Sherrill Triangle and the increase in traffic at the intersection of 3 Mile Harbor and Springs Fireplace Road has resulted in traffic congestion and risk to public safety, and the town has examined various possible solutions to alleviate traffic and reduce the public safety risk presently existing to the current design of this intersection. And whereas it is believed that the redesign of the intersection utilizing traffic circles and improved road designs would alleviate traffic congestion as well as the potential vehicular and pedestrian accidents, but installation of such improvements would require the use of additional property of the intersection in order to install such improvements. And whereas due to the location of the Sherrill Triangle between 3 Mile Harbor Road and Springs Fireplace Road, the East Hampton Town Board believes this property is the only viable location upon which the necessary road improvements may be installed. As a result, the town sought legislation from the New York State legislation to eliminate any parkland designation as the Sherrill Triangle, and such relief was granted by the legislature by Senate Bill S0974-1A and Senate Assembly Bill A10413A and pursuant to Article 9 of the State Constitution of the Municipal Home Rule Law. In order to proceed with this installation of improvements, the intersection, the Sherrill Triangle, will also require removal of nature preserve designation from the parcel, and pursuant to Chapter 182 Nature Preserves, the town board must be conducted public hearing and notice in the same published no less than 14 or more than 30 days prior to the hearing, and the town board, by a majority 1 vote of its members, must determine the imperative and unavoidable public necessity exists of requiring the removal of the parcel from the town's nature preserve designation. The town board wishes to hear the comments of the public in regard to the same. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board should hold a public hearing and it shall be held on August 15th, 2024 at 6 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 944 is to appoint seasonal employee in the recreational department, Timothy Treadwell, for recreational specialist, town open water swim training, hourly rate of $23.40, retroactive to June 18th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 945 is to appoint seasonal lifeguards for July 2024, effective till June 16th, 2024, names, positions, salaries, and dates retroactive to listed below.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 946 is appoint seasonal employees in the Parks Department, names, titles, pay scales, effective dates listed below.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 947 is a title change for lifeguards, May 2024, and names, titles, pay rates, effective dates listed below.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 948 is the amend resolution 2024-929. This is a title change for a lifeguard for Colin Schaefer. And he is to a lieutenant lifeguard effective retroactive to June 16, 2024. And now the new start date is retroactive to May 20th, 2024.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 949 is a budget modification for the Highway Department, taking $600 from signs and bringing the same amount to advertising.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to recuse myself on the next one.
I'd like to offer Resolution 950. This is a license to utilize agricultural land at 147 Buckskill Road to Amber Waves, first of 3 extensions. With a license to utilize agricultural land at 147 Buckskill Road, Amber Waves, first of 3 extensions. The board passed a resolution 2019-830 authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agricultural license agreement with Amber Wave for agricultural lands located at 147. The license fee is going to be increased by $250 per acre in keeping with fair market value for this year. And hereby, the town supervisor is authorized to direct and enter into the first of 3 renewable extensions.
Second. Roll call, Carol, please.
Councilmember Light?
Aye.
Councilmember Lees?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Calder Piedmont?
Recuse.
Supervisor Burke Gonzalez?
Aye.
951 is for water quality RFA grant extensions. This is for round 1 from 2022, whereas the town of East Hampton in June 2nd, 2020 through to via resolution 2022-736 authorize the use of CPF water quality funding to award grants below. First one is the project sponsor is the New York State Clean Water Technology. This is for a wastewater treatment improvement project. The amount is $132,100. The second one is the project sponsor was the Village of East Hampton, also for a wastewater treatment improvement project. The funding award was $226,000. The provisions to the contract is that they would be able to have a 1-year period in execution of the contract, but reserves the right to extend each agreement for 2 additional 1 years, and this is the extension.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2024-952 is a water quality contract modification for the Sag Harbor Christ Episcopal Church, whereas the town board on August 8th, 2020, via resolution 2020-766, authorized the use of CPF water quality funding for the 2020 RFA for the Sag Harbor Christ Episcopal Church for a septic system upgrade in the amount of $143,860. The Sag Harbor Christ Episcopal Church has requested that the Water Quality Technical Advisory Committee Water Quality Technical Advisory Committee also recommends a contract modification to allow for the remaining grant funds to be used for costs associated with the sewer pipe installation and connection from the church to the Sag Harbor Sewer Treatment Plant.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
953 is a SEPBID EHS SAG 24-901. This is HVAC repair service installation to Best Climate Control Group. Financial impact is $38,070, and service calls will be $115 per hour.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 954 is a SEND contract EH22-031. This is the annual drainage contract A, B, and C to Keith Grimes Incorporated.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 955 is authorized grant application to CFA, Office Preservation and Historic Office of Recreational, oh man, I'm missing it. Restoration and Preservation of, excuse me. Authorize the grant application for a CFA for the restoration of the preservation of the South End Cemetery, whereas the town of East Hampton has reviewed the opportunities available to them under the CFA, and whereas the South End Cemetery is owned by the town of East Hampton and located in the Village Historical District. The town of East Hampton would like to apply for a grant for the restoration and preservation of this historical site.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 956 is to retain L.K. McLean Associates, DPC, Professional Engineering Services for the Stephen Hanspath Athletic Complex for a new turf multi-use field. The town has received the proposal dated May 7th, 2024 to provide design, permitting, and bid assistance for $150,000 lump sum and construction support for $90,000 lump sum for a total cost not to exceed $240,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have Resolution 957, which is a notice of public hearing to amend Chapter 255, 180 lighting. And it's resolved that the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing at Town Hall on Thursday, August 15, 2024, at 6 p.m., so that this matter may be heard. And this is regarding adoption of amendments to the town lighting code. The full language of the amendments are listed below.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I have Resolution 958 is to release security in urban renewal parcel 53 in MN-3. And this is releasing the security posted for the property below. This is Andrew Zambrato Holdings LLC. The UR parcel is 53 MN-3, map 1014, block 272, lots 2 and 3, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-19-8-15 and 16, and this is in the amount of $15,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next is also, Resolution 959 is also to release security, urban renewal parcel 52 in MN-3. Again, it's Andrew Zambrato Holdings LLC, and this is for parcels for Lot 4, and the Suffolk County tax code number is 0300-19-8-14.1, and again, the check is for $15,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 960 is approval of air and speed surf lessons seasonal special event permit for 2024. Whereas a commercial surf instruction requires a seasonal special event permit in the town code, the Special Events Committee reviewed the application submitted by Air and Speed and has approved granting the permit under the specific conditions. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board hereby approves Air and Speed Inc.'s special event permit for surf instructions as per the conditions delineated on the seasonal special event permit. This includes the hours of operation, which are July 1st through October 1st, 2024. The hours of operation from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. daily, 7 days a week, 2 to 1 instruction only, 10 people total at any one time in the water, and the rest of the conditions on the permit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 961, this is a determination of significance and notice of public hearing, local law to amend Chapter 255 of the East Hampton Town Code to change the maximum permitted density of senior-only affordable housing developments from 8 units per acre to 12 units per acre. Resolved, the town board finds that the proposed action consisting of revisions to Chapter 255 zoning of the town code by the proposed local law to increase maximum density for affordable senior housing developments from 8 units per acre to 12 units per acre will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts, and a negative declaration is hereby made pursuant to SECRA and Chapter 128 of the Town Code. A public hearing is scheduled to be held on August 15th, 2024 at 6 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution 962, this is a budget modification for community housing, moving $61,000 from rehabilitation of community housing to outside professional.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2024-963 is a proposition with abstract for November referendum to discontinue nature preserve designation, 3 Mile Harbor Road and Springs Fireplace Road for highway improvements. Resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to send the following ballot proposition and abstract, together with the Spanish translation, to the Suffolk County Board of Elections for inclusion on the ballot at the November 5th, 2024 general election. The referendum language reads as follows: shall the town of East Hampton discontinue as a town nature preserve and convey to Suffolk County a parcel of land located at the intersection of County Road 40, commonly referred to as 3 Mile Harbor Road, and County Road 41, commonly referred to as Springs Fireplace Road, for the purpose of a roadway improvement project that will address long-standing traffic delays and public safety issues at the intersection of 3 Mile Harbor Road and Springs Fireplace Road? Yes or no? The abstract for the proposition reads as follows: This proposal will allow the town to utilize a parcel of land located at the intersection of 3 Mile Harbor Road and Springs Fireplace Road, and currently listed as a property included as a nature preserve pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 182, Nature Preserve of the Town Code. Upon removal of the nature preserve designation, the parcel may be utilized for necessary improvements to the 3 Mile Harbor and Springs Fireplace Road intersection. Improvements to the intersection are intended to address longstanding traffic congestion and safety issues. The development of other parcels surrounding the intersection makes the town-owned parcel currently designated as a nature preserve the only suitable parcel that can be used for necessary improvements of this intersection. The New York State Legislature has previously passed legislation to remove all parkland designation from the town's parcel, and with the removal of the nature preserve designation under the town code will allow the parcel to be utilized for improvements to the intersection, which the town board believes are necessary to alleviate congestion and improve public safety.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
964 is to increase the budget cap for Flynn stenography and transcription services, and this constitutes a total of $7,500 for calendar year 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
965 is to accept proposal for the structural analysis of Greenport Cell Tower as potential replacement of the Shelter Island Tower, and that goes to All Points Technology Corporation, PC, at a total cost to the town of $9,700.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
966 is to accept bid EH 24023, supply and delivery of auto parts, and that goes to Advanced Auto Parts, Grade A Petroleum, Morgan Auto Supply, and Fleet Pride.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
967 is for Law Enforcement Technology Grant. The Town Police Department applied for funding from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services Law Enforcement Technology. The award amount of $269,625.88 was received by the town, and the Town Police Department wishes to allocate the award amount to the following budget lines below.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Congratulations, too.
968 is to increase the cap for outside counsel for Farber, Brox, and Zane LLP for various ZBA matters, and this constitutes a total of $65,000 for the 2024 calendar year.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
969 is to retain Whiteman, Osterman, and Hannah LLP for tax guidance and ruling for 2024. The town of East Hampton is investigating certain programs to assist with the provision of housing within the town in the form of both the development of ADUs and providing down payment assistance to qualified first-time home buyers. The town requires the assistance of council to determine the tax impacts to participants in the town's program and desires to retain counsel for such purposes. Scott Schimmick, Esquire, and the firm of Whiteman, Osterman, and Hannah LLP is hereby retained to provide legal guidance, including assisting the town in securing an appropriate revenue ruling from the IRS with regard to the same, and this is in an amount not to exceed $80,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
970 is to authorize the supervisor to execute a modification to an agreement for the payment of the town of East Hampton expenses in connection with the review of Wainscott Commercial Center. This modification requires the town to notify the Wainscott Commercial Center if the escrow account balance is reduced to $15,000 or less, and Wainscott Commercial Center is required to then replenish the escrow account to increase the balance of the account to $25,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
971 is to authorize the supervisor to execute a lease renewal with Hampton Hangars at the rate of 41 cents per square foot, constituting an annual rental rate of $61,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
972 is to authorize the supervisor to execute a lease renewal with East End Hangars at the rate of 41 cents per square foot for developed square footage, constituting an annual rental rate of $110,508.53.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
973 is to approve an emergency grant funding for the Eastville Historical Society and make a budget modification. The Eastville Community Historical Society operates out of 139 Hampton Street, Sag Harbor, where it has established a program informing the public about the history of the Eastville area. The Eastville Community Historical Society has commenced a capital fundraising drive to raise funds to cover the cost of needed renovations and improvements, including funds to cover the cost associated with replacing the roof, thus safeguarding their invaluable archives. So the town board is authorizing an emergency grant in the amount of $25,000 to the Eastville Community Historical Society for the needed roof replacement in the hope that they can get back to their important mission of providing programs and educational activities to the people of East Hampton, detailing the history of the Eastville community.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ian, you're up.
Resolution 974, this is to approve first-time home buyer assistance for Lee Grimes in the amount of $30,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 975, this is to approve first-time home buyers assistance for Melanie Anderson in the amount of $30,000.
Second.
Quick discussion on here. Is this the first funding that we've used from?
I'm sorry, it's M. Anderson.
Yeah.
I'm going to go off the book here.
Is this the first funding that the town's used from the Conic Bay transfer tax for housing? I believe it is. So
I believe it is for non-administrative.
yeah, so I think this is a kudos to the town board and the public for voting this in for referendum. Now this is the town board putting those finances that have been gained on the 0.5% transfer tax to work to put individuals into homes and try to maintain our community. So kudos to you, Ian, bringing this ahead into the town board and the past town board to getting this to this point. So I just wanted to make that comment because this is a little bit of a milestone for the town right now.
Well, thank you, David. The truth is, I can take very little credit for being able to offer the resolution. Eric Shantz in the Housing Department, and certainly the CHAB Committee, led by Andrew Garvey, have been absolutely fantastic, and really excited about this and the next steps to come.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have David.
That leaves me up to a letdown maybe of 976. This is amended hourly rate for a heavy equipment operator in the highway department for Richard Hamilton. And it's at $28.94, retroactive to January 1st, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I have Resolution 2024-977. It's to approve annual stipends for Andrew Gates and Andrew Drake in the amount of $5,000 each to perform the duties of licensed arborists.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone else have any other business they want to bring up? No. I would just like to welcome the Wounded Warrior Project for Soldier Ride 2024. It takes place this Saturday, July 20th. Starts at the Amagansett Fire Department. Their opening ceremony is at 8:45, and the community ride begins at 9 o'clock. For those that don't know, it's a 25-mile bike ride from Amagansett to Marine Park in Sag Harbor and back. And it's just a joy. We stood together in Amagansett last year and waving American flags and waving to all of the wounded warriors and all the participants. And it's quite a moving event if you haven't been there. So a big salute to our wounded warriors.
If there's no other business, I'll make a motion to go into executive session for personnel and CPF.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, LTV.
All right.